Hi, everybody watching. This is our series from Quincy University about the college admissions process. My name is Dominic O'Donnell. I'm with Paige Owsley. We're two admissions counselors with Quincy. And not so much talking about QU, but we want to just kind of give our expertise about the entire college process and some things to think about as the high school students are, entering junior year and into senior year, and maybe just some tips to help everybody along the way. So we'll get started.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Dom. So, really, the first thing you want to start thinking about is who am I and who am I becoming? So, what kind of jobs are you envisioning for yourself after high school? And do those jobs really take a college degree? Or maybe are you thinking something that's more like trade or community college or university? So, you really kind of want to start thinking about that early and really find your why and what's motivating you to go to college and make that investment. I usually like to ask when I'm in person, who all has started visiting colleges. But it's such an important part of the college search process to really get on college campuses and just start feeling them out to see what you're interested in and what kind of school you really click with. And then really just start thinking about important factors when you're thinking about colleges or universities that you'd like to attend. So the number one most important thing that you should be keeping in mind is different academic programs they have. So do they have the majors that you're interested in studying? And then athletics, of course. If you're wanting to continue doing athletics while you're in college, then you want to start kind of seeing if you want to do Division II, Division I, maybe Division III, and kind of aligning your college search with your athletic ability if you plan to compete at the college level. And then, of course, extracurricular activities. So if there's certain clubs or organizations that you're wanting to get involved in while you're in college, making sure that school that you're looking at has those. Or Greek life, for example, that's a pretty popular one. Some students are really wanting to get involved in sororities and fraternities when they're on campus. So making sure that those schools have those if you're interested in them.
Paige, you're exactly right. I mean, it really is just basically just encouraging students to take time to have that thought of where they see themselves in the next 4 years and what that looks like. Whether they want to continue with athletics or whether they want to be in a, fraternity or sorority, because that ultimately is going to kind of dictate what type of school that they're going to be looking at. If you're a graphic design major, you may be looking at different colleges than if you're a marketing major or an aviation major for that matter. So, it's just good. And, I mentioned, starting out as a junior, but this really can happen, as early as freshman year, just to, just put that thought process. And I guess what we're encouraging to do is not be scared of the thought about it. It's coming, and we want you to make a healthy, rational decision. So setting a timeline is really important in this process. And really, it's funny, it's like when you get into junior year of high school, it's like really you're on the second half of high school when you need to start putting some things in action. A couple of things to think about is the curriculum that you're taking. If you are planning on going to a 4-year college to seek a bachelor's degree, you really want to stay where you're getting your 4 years of English, your 4 years of math, doing those college preparatory classes to make sure that you're, not only having the classes that are needed for entrance, and every college is going to have a different kind of set of entrance standards, but also just making sure that you're academically prepared. So when you step foot into that classroom as a freshman, you're ready to hit the ground running, and you're, feeling like you can, take this on and you're ready. Think about things that you're involved in at the high school, whether that's, academic clubs and organizations, playing sports, being a part of a music program, whether that's, instrumental or vocal, community service projects or community service clubs and organizations. If you're finding a passion for any of those, at the high school level, that can easily translate to college, and you can find a college that has those similar things, or that's going to be able to allow you to continue with your passion for another 4 years. I think, a lot of people get into the mindset of like, oh, I'm going to go to college and that's like a reset button. Well, not if it's something that you enjoy. We see it a lot of times with music majors where, or students that are interested in music, just because you're not planning on going and majoring in music that doesn't mean that you should have to crush that passion if you were, you know, a part of the marching band, or you were part of the, you know, one of the vocal ensembles in high school. You know, there's, you know, huge opportunities to still participate in that while you may be, you know, focusing on a, you know, a separate, you know, academic field. You know, definitely when you get into spring semester of your junior year, you're going to start seeing, you know, the ACT and SAT that are offered, kind of depending based on the state that you live in. Different, you know, many schools, many colleges are going to a test optional process. You're going to start seeing admissions counselors coming to your school, doing college fairs. Look for those opportunities. If there's a college fair that's in your area, definitely go. You know, go grab some friends and go with it. Grab your parents and go with it. You know, some college fairs, you're going to have 20 colleges that you can go and ask questions of. Some college fairs, you're going to walk in, there's going to be 300 colleges in there. It's always kind of funny when you step in for the first time as a junior, because it's very intimidating. You have 300 colleges, and how are you supposed to choose? You know what? There is a bunch of admissions professionals like Paige and myself. We're the ones that are there. Whether you're coming to our college or looking somewhere else, we're all there to help. Ultimately, we're there to help kind of point you in the right direction. And you may walk up to our table and say, hey, I'm looking for this major. If you're looking for mechanical engineering and we don't have it, we're going to be able to help point you in the right direction. And it's funny. It's kind of like the code of admissions of basically, you know, putting students' needs ahead of the respective colleges. What a great profession we have, Paige.
Yeah.
But seek out the opportunities, look for college fairs in your area, and then always check. There should be something from your guidance office or the college and career center at your high school of a calendar of when the different colleges are going to come and meet. You know, sometimes those are set up where they set up a table over the lunch hour. Sometimes those are specific meetings within the guidance office. Just look and see if there's a specific college that you may be interested in, if they've got a time, and then talk to your guidance counselor or college counselor to register for those. I think that's it.
Yeah, really just getting your feet wet, really your junior year is so important. You know, the first semester, really taking that challenging curriculum, like Dom mentioned, that's just going to help make that transition from high school workload to college workload that much smoother if you're in those, you know, curriculum classes. I know a lot of people, their senior year, they just kind of want to slack off and take all the easy stuff. I know I did that, but don't do that. Take the higher curriculum. It just helps you really get ready for those college level classes. And then, of course, start thinking about ACT and SAT and take that your second semester, the spring semester of your junior year, and then start checking out all those colleges. Start going on campus visits. I think a lot of students have this misconception that their college search starts senior year, and that's not when it starts. That's when you can get into a lot of procrastination and a lot of rushing. Start your junior year so that it's more relaxed. You have plenty of time to check out these schools and meet with different colleges to find that perfect fit for you.
You're absolutely right. I forgot to mention the going on college visits too. You can really start those at any time, but that is paramount to this process, is finding a time where you can actually physically go on campus and take a tour and see the facilities, meet with an admissions counselor, if possible, meet with a faculty member, meet with a coach. But most importantly, just getting on campus and visualizing yourself like, hey, this is going to possibly be my home away from home. How do I feel about it? How do I feel when I'm here? I always tell the students that I meet with, this is the most cliche thing ever, but when you're driving away, write down 5 things you like, write down 5 things you don't like, because it does. It gets jumbled up as you're seeing different colleges. And, it's a good way to kind of keep a list off to the side of, things that are important to you. And it's funny, it's, sometimes the things that end up being important to a student are not necessarily what they expected when they walked in the door onto campus. It's all of a sudden, once you're there, you kind of, things kind of move to the surface of like, man, that is really important, whether that's, small classroom settings or whether that's large lecture halls. It's funny how it kind of, narrows down once you start seeing colleges.
It definitely does. And I love that idea of writing down 5 things as you're going away, because as you visit your fifth school, well, what about that first school that you visited? Do you remember, the details that you loved about them when you're heading to your fifth school? So, yeah, definitely keeping a log of things that you really love from the school after you get done with your campus visit is important. And then also just on this slide, I have a bunch of things bullet pointed here that are kind of important. So what am I looking for in a school? And on campus visits, you're going to be able to, differentiate all of these. So go visit a big school, go visit a medium school, go visit a small school, and just see how you feel there. And then like Dom said, maybe make that list as you're leaving. What did I really love about the small school, the medium school, or, what about the type? Maybe you go visit a public school and a private school. Well, what did I like about the public versus the private, or, a 2-year versus a 4-year? So really getting on those campuses and checking those things out. And then of course, distance from home is always important. I'm the local admissions counselor for Quincy University. So I work with students who live within 60 miles of our school. So I primarily work with students who do want to stay close to home, but still want to get that 4-year college experience. So, do you want to stay close to home and not go too far away? That way, you can go home and visit your parents whenever you want. Or are you wanting to go a little bit further away so there's no way your parents can just pop in on you on the weekend? Or do you want to find somewhere kind of in between? Maybe about 4 or 5 hours away. So, you're still just a little road trip from home, but you're far enough away. Are you looking for any special types of colleges? So specific religions or single sex? So an all girls school or an all boys school? Making sure again that the majors that you want to study they have instead of just going for maybe football, right? Well, we don't want to just go for football. We also want to go and make sure we can get a career afterwards too.
Right.
So yeah, that's important. And then also, I think a lot of students too think they put all this pressure on themselves to kind of have their whole life figured out when they're heading to college their freshman year. And so, having a couple majors in mind is always a good piece of advice. So have this, front runner major that you're really excited about, but also maybe have a couple other backup plans and make sure that that school has those backup plans for you too. At QU, we have over 40 different majors that you can choose from. So there's a lot of different paths that students can end up going on. And I'm sure at, other schools you're looking at, they have, an abundance of majors too. So just make sure that those majors that are important to you are definitely offered there. And then if you are going to continue doing athletics in college, I kind of mentioned this before, but make sure you're kind of matching up your athletic ability to the type of school you want to go to. So do you want to compete in Division I, or do you want to compete in Division II or Division III? And just making sure that you're looking at a school that kind of matches your athletic ability, and really start talking to those coaches to kind of see, they can probably help guide you, what would be the best fit for you. Extracurriculars, we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but like clubs or organizations that you want to get involved in, or sorority and Greek life, that's kind of what I mentioned before. I know at QU, like if there's not a club or organization that you love, you can start one of your own. And I'm sure, other colleges or universities that you're looking at, they probably have that same opportunity. So just make sure that those opportunities are available to you if it's something that you're super passionate about. And then something that I really like to, talk to students about is there's 3 types of fit, that I like students to think about is academic fit, financial fit, and social fit. So the next bullet point on here is financial fit. We'll talk a little bit more about that in detail later, but consider, what kind of financial aid are you going to need, or what type of money are you willing to invest in your college experience? So that's pretty important. And then overall, just the big picture. So like Dom said, home away from home, and can you picture yourself living here for the next 4 years and just being comfortable and loving it for, 4 years straight?
It's you touched on a couple really good points. Honestly, if you're comfortable in your environment, the academics should come easy. It's and that's why finding the right spot is so important in this process. And the distance from home thing is absolutely so true. Paige works with a lot of the local students, like she said. I work with a lot of students that are coming from quite a distance away, whether it's from the West Coast or the Southeast. You know, you
Puerto Rico.
yeah, Puerto Rico, yeah, like literally, and international students.
Yeah.
You know, when those students that are coming from a distance, you know, fly in to do a visit, you want them to really, you know, harness that of how this is going to feel. Because you certainly don't want to walk into a situation where, oh, I jumped at this, you know, this school, but it's not, it doesn't fit. You know, I'm going to be homesick from the get go. And the exact same thing goes for the students that are coming from, you know, 30 minutes away. You want to make sure that they, you know, that's what they're looking for in that. And that's why the campus visit is, you know, so important. The other thing that you mentioned was the academic side of things and, you know, picking a major. You know, I think everybody's heard that, you know, that adage of, you know, 50% of college kids end up changing their major. I mean, it's true. A lot of students end up kind of finding their passion while you're in college. And I think that's something to be, you know, really like, you know, conscious of, you know, kind of knowing what, you know, maybe the initial path you're thinking of, but also being open to, you know, helping, you know, or just kind of, you know, being nimble to find that path. You know, I'm not to plug QU too much. I know we're kind of doing an overview, but I absolutely adore the way that we've built our curriculum because it allows students that flexibility of not having to come in, you know, and be, you know, painted into a corner in their major. You know, we're a direct admit university where students are able to study in any field once they're admitted to the university. So it just allows them that time to kind of meet with some of the juniors and seniors or see what they're doing internships with and, you know, maybe glean inspiration through that. But that last slide was great. I think, you know, if, you know, out of this entire presentation, I think if people go through that last one and when they go and sign up for a visit and kind of go through those check marks, it's going to give them a huge leg up in the entire process. So, well, you know, talking about, you know, kind of doing the college search and figuring out where is going to be your initial best fit. You know, I think we kind of talked about going to the college fairs and, you know, having a lot of universities. Go ask questions. You know, maybe when you're walking into that process, you know, think about the things that are important to you, you know, kind of some of the things on that last slide. You know, are you looking for a big school, a small school, or, you know, are you focused on a specific academic program? Are you looking for this environment? But then just go introduce yourself and ask, you know, does that college fit into what I'm looking for? Same process goes for when you have a college admissions counselor, you know, that's coming to your, you know, coming to your high school. And then, you know, again, kind of to tie it all together, it's just actually going to visit campus. Most colleges do it about the same way. When you see like the state schools, they often do larger visit groups where you may have, you know, 30, 40, 50 kids and families that go through to a specific day, just because of the sheer volume of students that are going. For private schools like Quincy, we do more of the individual visits, where if you come, you're just going to be, you know, one-on-one with a tour guide and then meet with, you know, one-on-one with, you know, like myself, Paige, you know, any of our colleagues. But either way, just figure out a way to get on a college campus when they have a visit day that's open, or whether you sign up for an individual visit. It really unlocks a lot of this process once you start seeing it with your own eyes.
Yeah, and I think college fairs are a really good thing for even sophomore students to go to.
Agreed.
I think it's a good place for sophomores to kind of get their feet wet, start this college search process a little bit, and kind of just, you know, get their ideas of talking to different schools. And, you know, I feel like as a sophomore in high school, I had no clue about colleges that I wanted to attend. So going and being prepared and just, you know, learning, and like we said earlier in this presentation, just kind of get those thoughts running about your future, because it's never too early to kind of start thinking about that and mapping out your future after high school.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so thousands of schools want students. So like Dom said, sometimes when you walk into a college fair, there can be like 300 schools, and it's like, how in the heck do I choose which one of these to talk to, right? So think about all the schools in the US. There's thousands of them, and they all want you to come to their school. So you really need to start with this college search process and explore maybe like 20 schools. So, you know, maybe start doing some internet searches of these schools. Maybe there's schools that you've heard of through your family or friends that go to these schools, going to college fairs and just stopping by, chatting with them. And maybe you have a stack of mailings from a bunch of different schools. I know I did. And just kind of start, you know, exploring those schools, and then kind of narrow it down to 8 to 10 your senior year there that you really want to apply to, that you really could see yourself, being there for the next 2 or 4 years. So making sure they have the major you like. And then I really like to use the 2-2-2 method of 2 safety, 2 target, and 2 reach. So maybe apply to 2 schools that are really competitive, hard to get into, you're not sure if you're going to make it. Reach for those schools, and then 2 target schools. So 2 schools that you're pretty sure that you're going to, get into no matter what. They're good schools and you like them. And then 2 safety schools. So maybe that's for students who they're not sure if they want to go far away or close to home. Maybe they're going to apply to those 2 safety schools that are closer in case something happens, like coronavirus, for example. We had no idea that was coming, and it kind of flipped everybody's world upside down. And I think a lot of students used their 2 safety schools during that semester of, hey, maybe I'm going to stay a little closer to home and not go quite far away because the world got a little crazy. So that's kind of the 2-2-2 method, and then really kind of narrow it down to 2 or 3 very serious schools. So these are schools that you might go on a second visit to. Let's say you visited them one time before, maybe your junior year or early your senior year, and before you commit, you want to go back one more time and just make sure it's the right fit. Again, I like the 3 fit method. Look at me with all my methods over here. But the academic, social, and financial fit, making sure that they meet all 3 of those areas are really, really important. And then again, we keep, pounding in on this, but making sure that, you feel at home at this place. And that's really how you can kind of begin to narrow it down so it doesn't seem so overwhelming after being in a college fair with 300 different schools. So that's kind of a piece of advice that we have for you.
The safety school thing is really important too. You may be a student that is looking at primarily schools that are, say, like 5 or 6 hours away. And, that can be your end goal. But maybe applying to a couple that are closer in your backyard, that allows you to maybe have those one-on-one conversations, to do an easy visit if it's just down the street when you're after, high school one day, and you want to tour a campus. But, information is power. And when you are able to compare scholarship offers, when you're able to, kind of compare facilities or compare classroom size or graduation plans or anything, that, you're not just throwing that out there to another random school, but it's actually, a school that you may have a closer connection to. So that was just to kind of piggyback on that, but I thought that was a really good point. This is also completely off the slide, but something that I used with my youngest brother. So I'm a QU grad, middle brother's QU grad. Youngest brother was looking at a major that we didn't offer. So we knew that his search was going to be a little farther out. So what we did, and this was after a couple visits and not really kind of finding the perfect fit, was isolating exactly how far away he was comfortable with. At that point, we came up with 5 hours. So we put a push pin in the hometown, drew a radius around, and basically came out with all the schools in that 5-hour window. And then we broke them into large state schools, medium-sized schools, the smaller private schools. And from that, it just narrowed the field down to where it wasn't looking at this, scary blanket of a million schools. It kind of then came down to like, okay, these are the options. Now we can start looking at, what the specific school is offering, the city that the school is in, obviously the distance. And sure enough, it worked. It, that narrowed the list down to where then we could, visit a manageable list and find his perfect fit. So anyway.
That's awesome. That's super cool. And that's a really beneficial story for anybody to use. Kind of wish I would have used it during my college search, really.
Yeah. It's, yeah. So application process. So once you get into your senior year, and a lot of times even the summer leading into your senior year is really when the applications start opening up and you're able to start applying to college for, the first time. A couple different things to look at for is if that school is part of the common application. So the common application is one application that you'll fill out, and then you can send it to any college that is a part of Common App. So basically just saves you time. It's a little more work on the front end, but then you're able just to search by school and send that directly to them. If the school is not part of Common App, or if you are not applying to a lot of Common App schools, do the individual application that's from the direct college that you're applying to. For us, we have a free online application on our website. Definitely look into whether the college is a free application online. Sometimes, not a lot of people are doing paper applications anymore, but still, sometimes it's $25 if you fill out the paper application, or free online. Well, just a little bit of research, sometimes can put money or keep money in your pocket. And then figure out what the respective college needs for that, whether that's sending in a transcript, whether that's sending in test scores. If the school is test optional, they're going to have a different, opt-in for the test optional process. I think the information's kind of getting out about test optional now, and a lot of universities are going that route. But for anybody listening that's not aware, especially with the coronavirus, a lot of test dates were canceled, and it kind of forced the hand for colleges to move over to a test optional process. Every college does it a little bit different. We do ours with either sending in a writing sample or sending in a graded paper, and then using more of the transcript to make an evaluation of whether, an acceptance can be granted. But that's a good question. Just ask your admissions counselor. You look on the website, it should be right around in the application of what documents need to be sent in. Whether you're required to send in a personal statement, whether you need a counselor recommendation coming in from your school, there's just going to be a series of checklists, and every college will be a little bit different on what they're required. So just read the fine print and see what each college, needs. For the most part, you're going to be hearing from a person like myself, like Paige, whoever your direct admissions counselor is. We're going to guide you along the way too. But sometimes it's good to just have everything kind of lined out. When you're seeking a letter of recommendation, find a person that knows you and can really write about who you are. So, I know a lot of them come directly from the guidance staff or the college counselors, but don't hesitate to use a teacher. If you've worked really well with, a specific teacher, whether that's, your biology, teacher in high school, ask them to write a letter that kind of speaks to your academic abilities. It could be an advisor for a club and organization. Say that you've participated in a lot of service activities and there's, a chaperone or a leader to that program. Don't hesitate. If it's somebody that can speak to your talents and abilities, reach out to them. There really isn't any direct form that can come in. Every university is going to have a different set of timelines, whether that's early action, early decision, regular admission, rolling admission. Some universities have specific deadlines, whether that's applying by November 1st or making a decision by December 1st. Some are rolling admissions, which means that you can apply all the way, in past the summer of your senior year, but just own it. Own the application process, because you don't want to get caught off guard. You don't want to have your dream school right at your fingertips and find out that you missed a deadline by 2 weeks, because that ultimately can make the difference of whether you're, in or out. And so, we do encourage, to start looking at this overall process, early in high school, definitely by junior year, but there's no reason to wait to apply to schools. We encourage, the students to really kind of start formulating their list as a junior. That way, when you hit senior year, your applications are going out, and now you're not just, oh, I'm going to college in theory, but it is, no, I am actually looking at a place that could be my home away from home. And you're starting to get that direct information about, programs and scholarships and everything else under the sun. And then, similar to that is, and the owning it part is do your homework. Figure out what the average GPA, the ACT or SAT, the, acceptance rate, what each individual college is kind of looking from their admissions process, and how that fits into your, kind of into your profile. So.
Yeah, definitely. And then, essay tips are really important too. So a lot of you will be writing a ton of college essays. So we kind of want to give you some tips here in our presentation, but we also have a whole nother presentation that's really focused on the essay tips. So why are you a big deal? That's a really good question that you should be answering in your essays is, just kind of humbly brag about yourself. Brag about all of the really great things that you've accomplished during high school and explain those. So if I'm an admissions counselor and I'm taking a look at your transcript and I see some questionable grades, well, maybe there was something going on in your life at that time that was causing those questionable grades. So make sure to just explain those during your essays or in your personal statements that you write. Our main goal as admissions counselors reading those is really just getting to know you as a student and also just seeing how you write. And really, why ultimately you're choosing the college or university that you're applying to. Typically these are 1 to 2 pages and we generally see double spaced. So, make sure to just ask your admissions counselors if you're writing specific essays for them, if there's a specific type of format that they want. At QU, we're not too specific about formatting, but some schools, might really want their essays to be all double spaced and really, professional looking. So definitely talk to your admissions counselors about what the requirements are. And then, typical topics that we see on college essays are, the reason why you're choosing this college or university. So talk about that research that you've done during your junior and senior year. Talk about, hey, I found that you're a small school, you have small class sizes, you have aviation, you're Division II athletics, or you have music, you have Greek life. And this is, why I think that you guys would be such a good fit for me. So that's kind of a good topic. Maybe an influential person in your life who has motivated you to go to college and to land some big career that you have your dreams set on. So who was that influential person and why did they influence you so much? So those are different types of essay tips that we have. This is just a really brief overview of that. Like I said, we have a whole nother video that you guys can check out on those essay tips.
Okay, some of the testing information. So like I said, there is definitely has been a pivot within the last year to going the test optional route. Some of that is because test dates have been canceled. Some of that is due to students just choosing not to do the ACT or SAT. Ask the respective college. Figure out what the best route is for them, what they're requiring, because that could potentially dictate your plans. Look into free test preps. There is a lot of resources out there. There's a link that you guys can click on the screen. Do the practice tests. I also think it's good if you are going to go down to take the ACT or SAT routes. A lot of scholarships are based on the scores that you receive. We encourage students to take those tests 2 to 3 times. There is, even with taking the practice test, it is intimidating that first time you sit down to take an ACT or take the SAT. Sometimes just by getting into, a good time rhythm, once you've seen it for the first time and you're going into that second test or that third test, you're just more acclimated with your surroundings. You're kind of knowing what the format of the test is going to like. And it sometimes just allows you to, have more success, maybe relax a little bit. And we often will see students that will go up a point or go up a couple points, whatever, respective test it is. And a lot of times scholarships will adjust, for, I don't want to speak for all colleges, but for at least QU, we will continue to adjust your scholarship all the way to June 1st if a new test score comes in, and maybe there is a higher score. So sometimes you may be already committed to that college and you may be 100% going, but it still might be something to look into to take, another ACT maybe in March or April or May of your senior year. So just something to consider. That's basically, the gist of it. I think probably the most important thing is to find out about the test versus test optional. And, you don't want to eliminate or have a school eliminated for you because you were planning on going one route, but they're requiring something else. Right. And then the AP tests. So every college is going to have a different score. So if you are taking any AP classes, obviously we're going to look to see if those will transfer in and what you can get credit for. Every college is going to have a different, kind of score. For the most part, if you score a 3 on our tests or on the AP test, QU is going to accept that. but you're going to run into colleges where maybe a 2 they'll accept it, or they may have it benchmarked where you need to score a 4 to accept it. So we encourage students to take AP classes. That's also a really good college prep track to get you just prepared for the kind of the college coursework. But obviously if you can get credit for anything, let's definitely try to get that.
Yeah, definitely. And again, it just helps you make that transition from high school to college that much easier from, if you're taking AP level courses in high school, they're similar to the type of rigor that your classes in college will be like. So that's another good reason to do that. And then if you guys take a look at this link, if you click on it, it will tell you all the schools that do not use SAT or ACT test scores. So if you guys are bad test takers and you don't plan to use your SAT or ACT score, and you're only going to look at schools, that don't, require you to take that, then check out that link, and that can kind of give you a good segue to kind of start looking at certain schools.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. And so let's talk about financial aid and the rotating investment. So I think a lot of students are like, oh my goodness, college is so expensive. And while that is true, some colleges are expensive, it is an investment, and you really need to start thinking about college that way. You're investing in yourself and in your future. And so if you start kind of shifting your mindset from it being expensive to being more of an investment in yourself, that can kind of help you with that. And, financial fit is something that I find to be really, really important. So, you are in control of how much you end up spending on college. And I think a lot of students kind of get scared to get too far into their college search with some schools because they think if they get a financial aid offer in the mail, then like they have to go to that school. And that's not true. If you get a financial aid offer in the mail, that's just simply laying out for you, this is what it will look like for you financially. And it's so important to compare those financial aid offers to other schools so that you don't feel overwhelmed and like you're spending way too much money on a college or university. So definitely kind of keep that mindset in mind. But a lot of schools will offer you merit-based scholarships. So these are based off of your GPA and your test scores, your talents, your characteristics, so maybe essays and things that you've written. Financial aid. So this is something that's really, really important for you guys. So every student should really work to file a FAFSA, and that opens up on October 1st. So that uses all of your parents' income. It looks at the number of people in your family, number of kids that might be in college, and it really produces an amount, an expected family contribution that kind of lets every college and university know how much your family might be able to contribute to your college experience. And then they base your financial aid that you receive from that college and university off of those numbers. So if there's any additional grants that you could get, like the MAP grant or the Pell grant, that's going to come through the FAFSA. So I always encourage every student really to file just to see if you qualify for any of those additional scholarships. And I think a lot of students like really fear federal student loans, and they really are not bad. So, you have to get on a plan, after 6 months of graduation, you will have to start paying those loans back. But they aren't bad as long as you're getting a really good return on your investment. So like what I like to really talk to students about is, for example, if you're going to school to be an engineer, then you're going to end up making a lot of money after you graduate. You're going to be able to afford maybe a more expensive college. Or for example, like somebody who's going into teaching or going into counseling like myself, we don't make buku bucks. So maybe not spending so much or investing so much in your college experience because you won't be making as much money to put back toward your student loans. So really kind of think about that. What kind of wage will you be receiving after you graduate from college, and what will you be able to afford to put back toward your student loans when you graduate? That way you're not so overwhelmed. And then a net price calculator is something that's really important that a lot of schools have. You can go to their website and kind of type in different things, and it kind of spits out a number to give you an estimated out-of-pocket cost to attend the university. And that's a really beneficial tool that you can utilize. And then you, of course, want to really pay attention to the graduation rate, the internships, the retention rates. So how many students are coming back to that school year after year? So after freshman year is over, are they coming back sophomore year? Are they coming back junior year? And then their placement rates. Are there students getting jobs after school? So I know at QU, I'm going to do a shameless plug here, but 91% of our students are getting jobs within 6 months of graduation, or they're on to graduate school. So the jobs that our students are getting are jobs that they've spent the last 4 years going to school for too. So something that, does require their degree and their major. And so that allows you to have a little bit of comfort when you know those placement rates that, hey, even though I've taken out these loans, I have a 91% chance of getting a job after I graduate, and I'll be able to afford to pay those loans back. So that's something that can kind of help you ease your mind about the big investment that college is. And then, of course, thinking about the difference between private and public. Private schools do tend to be a little more expensive than a public school, but we also offer a ton more scholarships for students. So really look into that. And then a 2-year versus a 4-year. So community colleges, they are a little bit more affordable, but it's a completely different experience than a 4-year school. So really just kind of weighing those out and figuring out what kind of investment you want to make in your future.
One more thing to add with the loans. I think this is always interesting. We work with a lot of parents, and we, regularly hear from parents, I don't want my child to take out any loans. And, of course not. If you, can get that funding to where, some of it can be covered by scholarships or grants, and then, you can fill up the rest of that, with just out-of-pocket costs. But it's not a terrible idea to have the student take out a little bit of loan just to have ownership in the, in their education. It does kind of help with some of the overall, that financial burden that's, going to exist when a student is going away to college. But, if that student's got a little stake in the game and they know that, hey, this is going to keep me on a 4-year graduation track. If I've got that 8 o'clock in the morning class, this is going to help me roll out of bed because that's my name that's on that loan. And, want to get a good job. You want to graduate in 4 years. You want to take those internship opportunities because then you're going to be able to pay that back. And it does kind of, like I said, it just kind of gives some ownership. So, outside of, just helping out a little bit financially, it's not necessarily a horrible thing to just kind of keeping people on the right track.
Right. Definitely.
All right. Search process traps. So we see this a lot of times too. If you walk in, if you just stand at a college fair for 2 hours and observe the way this works, it's fascinating. But I think, one of the big things is getting caught up to where friends are going. If I won't name schools by name, but if everybody in your high school class is like, I'm going to public state school, sometimes people just follow the herd without necessarily looking into what it means personally for you. So differentiate yourself. You may end up at that school because it's the perfect fit for you, but don't go to a place because your friends are going. And honestly, the more places that people go, just make those reunions when you come back for Turkey Day, you come back for Christmas, all the better. Sometimes it's tough when you end up with 30 of your high school classmates at the same college, because you meet so many new people. So definitely don't get caught up in that process. The senior year procrastination, we see it all the time on our end. As much as you encourage students to start as, looking as a junior, inevitably you get people that put out their first application second semester senior year. And not that we can't make it work and can't make it pull, and pull that off. It's just tough on on the student. You're into your last semester of high school. You have all of your end of senior year sometimes the mental, the where you're at mentally is more of like, I just want to enjoy this experience for the last part of high school. But you also have different demands that are coming in. If you can kind of have your college search lined out earlier in that process, or at least narrow down where your applications are in, you're maybe waiting just on the financial aid component of it, or you're down to 2 or 3 schools and you maybe want to go on a second visit, that's fine to go into second semester. But if you're just starting the process, it's really stressful, and that really adds another layer onto it. And we want you to be thoughtful, whether you come to QU, whether you go to John Wood, whether you end up at a school in California. All we can ask for and all we can root for you is that you made a thoughtful decision through it, and the more time that you give yourself to do that is just a benefit for everyone. The uninformed, aspect of this, once again, that kind of goes into the ownership of this. This is your college choice. So, try not to be swayed by other people's perspective. We want you to listen to your parents, but your parents may have an idea of the perfect college for them that may not fit into the perfect college for you. So just take some ownership of it. That sometimes takes, doing some legwork, and doing some research to find out. Absolutely do not do the boyfriend girlfriend thing. That is we also see that students get caught up in that all the time. I don't want to be a relationship counselor here, but use this time to test your relationship. Again, it's the same as following your friends. Make the decision what's perfect for you from an academic, from a social, from a clubs and organizations, from an athletic, from an interest, from a distance, from a financial. Any of those perspectives are better than, oh, that's where my girlfriend's going, and then going there, because that generally doesn't work. For the athletes, find the academic school. You are a student athlete. The student part of that weighs way heavier than the athletic part of that. We go work at a school, or graduates of a school that has great athletics. We have wonderful athletes that come in, but you have to find that fit that is a healthy balance between both. Just because you're great at football, if you want to study something that university doesn't have, that ultimately is going to come into a life conflict that's going to rear its head at some point. And finally, the last thing on the slide, this goes back into the whole essay writing. Be conscious of the information that you're putting out there. If you're sending in a personal statement or you're sending in an essay, spell check. Just have somebody else read it, whether that's having your buddy read it or having a parent or a guidance counselor. It just, good punctuation, capitalizing, words of the
using
same
the correct school name.
Oh, yeah. Sending the right school name or spelling the school name correctly. If you want to entertain us, don't proofread it, because we get a big kick out of, how something can be sent sometimes with 40 spelling errors in it, but it certainly doesn't help your chances to get in. And there are there's a lot of schools that will hold that against you from the beginning. If you were on a wait list and they are choosing between 2 students, you may have a higher GPA, but if you spelled 6 words incorrectly on an essay, that very well could be the deal breaker. So just be conscious and own your college decision.
Yeah, definitely. And don't fall into the trap of only applying to the closest state school, the closest private school, and the community college just because they're close and that's all you know. Do the research, do the legwork, figure out if these are good fits for you, because ultimately if you do that, you're just going to hurt yourself and your future and your goals. So do the research and check it out and see what kind of schools you're wanting to apply to. And then here we are again, find your fit. So if you can name them all 3, academic, social, and financial, those are the 3 most important fits in this college search process. So definitely make sure that those are all 3 good fits for you. And of course, is this your new home away from home? Is this where you're going to feel comfortable sleeping? Are you going to feel comfortable walking from class to class? Can you see yourself just moseying around on campus in the afternoon, or going for a bike ride? You know what I mean? Just, can you envision your life there? And then, remember, you're making this investment for yourself and for your future. So even though it can seem a little bit scary at the beginning, it ultimately is going to be this step in your journey in life to get you where you want to be when you graduate after college. So just remember that this is an investment for you. And always remember that your resume, when you graduate from this university, will always say, for example, Quincy University. So you want to make sure that it's a reputable school. So wherever you decide to go, make sure that you're going to be proud of that school when you leave there, and be proud, to present it to future employers when you're going into a job interview. And of course, trust your gut. So I think that's the biggest thing when we're getting down to the nitty gritty and you have like 2 or 3 schools that you're really interested in. There's always one that just kind of sticks above the rest. And you know it in your gut, but like you're kind of scared. You don't know what's holding you back, but just go with your gut and trust it. Whatever you think is the best fit for you, it probably is. You know yourself better than anybody else does. So if your gut's telling you that this is a perfect fit for you, it likely is. And then, of course, make your admissions counselor your new best friend. Me and Dom are super nice. So if you apply to QU, hopefully you get one of us because we're pretty cool. But all of our admissions staff are really, really awesome. And I'm sure at other colleges and universities, they're really awesome too. This is a profession where you have to love helping students through this process, or you won't stay in this job. So, every admissions counselor really, really loves helping you guys and making sure that the school's a good fit for you. So just don't be afraid to reach out, call them. If your parents have questions or concerns, have them call the admissions counselor too. Just definitely use us as a resource to kind of help you through this process. And then always remember, you can do it. No matter how stressful your college search might get at times, you can do it, and you're going to ultimately make a really good decision if you kind of put in all the legwork and all the research and do those campus visits. So that's really all I have for you. Dom, you have anything you want to add?
No, you're so right, though. Make us your best friend. We have a wonderful job. We get to talk to students and parents and help guide them along the path of, things to look for. Basically everything that we talked about today, just kind of helping you guys along the way. And for each individual college that the admissions counselor works for, obviously they're going to help, that student figure out how they fit into that. But we're more than that as well. I mean, we also want to help you find your perfect fit. And if that's not at our respective school, well, we are going to root for you and champion you, along the way. It's funny when when a student doesn't pick our school, the students sometimes feel so bad about trying to let us down, but it's not a bad thing. If they found their perfect fit, we're excited for you. And so I really encourage students to call us, for parents to call us, call us when you're a junior and you're getting ready to start this process and you may have questions about how to, where to go next or what to do, but also along the way, whether that's, once you immediately got accepted, or maybe when you're down to 2 schools and you're trying to figure out how to read a financial aid package, we're here to help. So, that's our direct email that's on there, the admissions at quincy.edu. And then if you go to the Quincy University webpage, you can actually see the individual admissions counselors and what territory we work with. So a couple clicks, you can actually figure out, hey, this is the person that's going to be directly working with me, but reach out to us. So hopefully this helped. Paige, I think we went long. I don't know. I felt like we kept talking, but hopefully this is helpful for everybody that listens.
Yeah, we did go a little long, but that's okay. I think it just shows how passionate me and Dom really are about helping you guys through this college search and the college journey. So like we said, we really enjoyed. Please don't ever hesitate to reach out if you need us. And thank you so much if you made it to the end of the video. We really appreciate it. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.